Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her by 10 Forward 29.
Hell yeah!
Where we will be doing a broad overview of the first season of Star Trek Prodigy.
Bigger hell yeah!
Yeah. So it's Prodigy, the amazing story of a bunch of kids that find a Starfleet vessel, and shenanigans ensue. If you haven't watched it yet, don't listen, because we're going to talk about all of it in broad terms.
We're going to spoil every moment of it.
Very spoilery.
Everyone dies.
And here, but here, before you tune out, here's the headline. Watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch it. Like, if you like Star Trek, if you're listening to this podcast, presumably like Star Trek, maybe you dismissed Prodigy as like, oh, it's a kid's show, I don't want to watch Nickelodeon, blah. Just watch it.
Yeah, watch it, and then listen to us. A Star to Steer Her by.
No one was more ready for this to be a fucking disaster than me. Like,
yeah, I think you were even like more critical, had lower expectations of it than I did.
Yeah, I'll even go so far as to say, like, give it like 3 or 4 episodes, because the first 2 episodes, I wasn't quite sold yet. It took a few episodes for me to really get into it, but we'll talk about all that.
Description of it I heard was, I think someone on Star Trek shitposting said this. Either way, this wasn't me. I saw this online. A bunch of people are trapped in Star Wars, find a Federation ship, and escape to Star Trek.
Yeah.
I love that.
I would agree. Because that was my thought on the first couple episodes when they were in the prison.
Yeah, like, why have this be Star Trek? Why not just have this be a generic sci-fi show or a Star War?
Yeah, because like even some of the characters, I'm thinking of Jimmy Simpson's character.
Oh, the Dreadnought.
Dreadnought. I was like, that's just General Grievance. That's just General Grievance.
General Grievance.
The helmet vaguely looks, well, the head rather looks vaguely like Ralph McQuarrie's early Vader concepts too. Like, I feel like in a way they very purposefully made the villain look like something out of Star Wars.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was like an effort to reel in kids to have more alien-looking stuff.
I'd like to think it was just to make fun of Star Wars.
Yeah, I think it sets it apart from other Star Trek as well, because this is a series in which effectively none of the characters are human. And that's refreshing as hell. Yeah. The most human character we have is a hologram.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. I give a lot of credit for it just makes it a more interesting story, because the characters in intention and in personality, like, they have very human qualities whilst also being alien, so it allows you to see in other types of people, like, empathetic traits.
Yeah. I guess Dal is technically part of him's human.
Right.
Yeah, they started with a human, and then they fucked it up. Spoilers for season 1.
Well, like, we already warned them.
Yeah, I know, I'm joking.
But yeah, no, I remember when they, back in the day when they were announcing 1,000 Star Trek projects at once.
Yep.
One of them was like, oh, and Prodigy. I'm like, what the fuck's that? Children-focused CG animated Nickelodeon series. And I was just
this ragtag group of misfits on a ship.
Yeah, well, they didn't even reveal that until much later, so I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, like a bunch of fucking cadets or something obnoxious. I was expecting, like, cool teens with, like, whatever a 40-year-old man thinks a teenager talks like now, and bad spiky haircuts or something.
So Lower Decks?
Yeah, I think also when it was first announced, it was unclear what age group they were going to be
Yeah, it was
targeting.
Just generally kids.
And since it's on Nickelodeon, like, I associate Nickelodeon with, like, 9 and under.
Well, is it on Nickelodeon or is it on
It
Paramount
is now
Plus?
on Nickelodeon.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So yeah,
I was unclear if it was just like Nickelodeon branded Paramount Plus.
If I recall, the initial idea had actually been that it would premiere on Nickelodeon.
Oh, then they flipped it.
Yeah. It was they ended up having a premiere on Paramount Plus and go to Nickelodeon later. But originally it was going to be the other way around, I think. But yes, it has since premiered on Nickelodeon itself as well.
I wonder how well this show has done with its target demographic, because I know a lot of grown-ups that really like it, but I do wonder if kids are watching it.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it would make a great entry point into Star Trek, because it's also it relies very, very little, except for one episode, which we'll discuss, on pre-existing canon in any way, really. Like, you can step in without much knowledge of Trek and get it.
It does feel like what's good, and this thing is, I've been worried it was going to be because I always like to make this distinction when discussing things, is like, far too often, stuff that's billed as, like, for family audiences, quote unquote, is like, it's for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the most obnoxious way possible, but occasionally there's a dick joke, but, like, coded heavily.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, the dick jokes are for kids, too.
The original Shrek was the perfect example of family entertainment done right, in my opinion.
I feel like Shrek was very crude. I don't think Shrek was good for kids.
It was a little less coded, yeah. They were supposed to be for families, but I think they kind of fucked up. But yeah, like, a lot of stuff that's billed as family stuff is actually, it's mostly for children. Occasionally there's a coded blue joke for adults as like, sorry about this. Like, I feel like an actual family thing should be watchable by and enjoyed by the whole family, and I think this largely nails that. Like, it feels like if you want an adult who's a Trek fan to be like, here is my gateway drug to finally get my kid into Trek, because I tried showing them TNG and they were confused by Deanna's hair or something. Well,
that's their fault for having dumb children.
But yeah, this feels like a really good, because again, I think the adults can enjoy it and the children will enjoy it on its own merits.
Yeah, and I mean, and it is still a kids show. Like there's moral lessons and messages and things.
Yeah, they spell it out a couple of times more clearly than they would if it were an adult show.
Yeah. But it's not as egregious as it could be by any stretch.
Sure. We're not watching Peppa Pig.
No, we're not even watching some 80s cartoon that would, end every episode with the hero narrating a summary of the lesson in case you missed it.
Yeah, and like, our heroes are not perfect.
Oh, that's great.
Like, Dahl in particular is kind of shown to be obstinate and,
foolhardy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's very overconfident, so he makes a lot of dumb decisions, which is like goofy and kid stuff, but also kind of humanizes him.
Yeah, it's room to grow as well. And even in in the first season, we see a lot of growth because they're kids and they have this room to grow naturally built in.
Yeah. And we were actually discussing that with the finale. We're like, how old are they supposed to be?
I think it varies. It varies amongst them. Like, someone on, I think, shitposting or somewhere asked, how old is Zero? Because as a Medusan, their race is fairly unknowable. But from a flashbacky scene we see of Zero in the past, they seem to definitely be one of the younger floaty wispy things. Yeah, they're smaller.
They're smaller, yeah. But we also don't know how Medusans age, so
yeah,
it could be it could be a Baby Yoda situation where it's like, by their species standards, they are physically and mentally immature, but they're like 150.
Years old.
Yep.
Yeah, and I assumed that, like, Dahl and Gwen both seem like teenagers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rock is like a child, I think, like 10 or something.
Yeah, well, and certainly her actor is actually a kid.
Oh yeah, and she's excellent. Like,
yeah.
How often do you hear really good child voice actors?
Literally never before.
Usually it's an adult pretending to be, because it's a voice actor. You don't get to see who's voicing this person. Usually it's an adult who can make a voice that sounds like a kid, like, Yardley Smith in The Simpsons.
Right, and it's usually all women, because women play women and women play boys.
Yep. Well, they actually, Nancy Cartwright from The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I correct in remembering that the Hey Arnold cast were largely actually kids?
I do not know, to be honest.
I think
Might be.
if so, they were really good too, for the most part. But yeah,
I
you
think
just don't get it
the
a
cast of that ABC, I think it was ABC, Recess. Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah,
No,
Recess
that was a
good.
little
It
after
was-
my.
It was after my time too, but I remember I think I read it on Reddit or something that they were because one of them died recently.
Oh, that's
that's
and,
sad.
and they were very young.
I know, like, a lot of the original. Heck, I think right up through like the 80s and 90s, a lot of the Peanuts specials used actual children.
Mm.
Oh wow.
I know, like, famously, like, I want to say it was Charlie Brown Christmas. One of the kids literally couldn't read yet.
Oh no!
Oh wow.
So an
Did they
adult
have to
would-
dictate
Sally,
the
wasn't
lines?
Yep,
I think it was Sally.
maybe, yeah. So an adult would tell them the line, and then they would repeat it.
Oh, that must have been rough.
Yeah.
Also in the Peanuts, the teacher character was actually played by a trumpet.
Yes. But no, I know that, like, even one of Fergie's early gigs was playing,
Lucy?
I think, Sally in one of the
Sally?
later specials.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Rock has a particularly good actor.
Yeah, Rock's good. And then I think the only one who might actually be an adult is Jankum, who, like, there's no indication of what his age really is, but he was like the assistant engineer on a.
He was an
On a-
apprentice, he
yeah,
said.
but-
he
but
was probably
still.
I'd probably put him in like a teen work training kind of a thing.
See, I think he's just like in his 20s.
That's the
I
thing.
think
It's like you think he's a kid, but he might just be short.
Yeah, I think he
It's
might
a little
just
vague.
be a diminutive adult.
Certainly, he's
Um,
got, I think, probably the oldest voice actor of the child
Yeah,
character.
probably,
The
yeah.
lead characters, I should say. Because even,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know, while they're not actually kids, all the other characters are certainly voiced by much younger actors.
Yeah, I
and
believe
also
you're right.
we also find out
except
in the
Murf.
show. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Murf.
right.
True.
Ones that speak. Because Murf is Frank Welker, right?
Murf is D. Bradley Baker.
Ah.
What were you gonna say, Jake?
I was gonna say Jankum. We find out is actually
Oh, yeah.
like hundreds of years old because
He was in stasis.
he was on he was in stasis on like a sleeper ship, like a pre-warp sleeper ship.
Pre-war, pre-federation. Like,
Yeah,
he woke
so-
up into the weirdest world for him.
right.
That I think we brought this up once before when an episode involved a sleeper ship, but how much would it suck to wake up from a sleeper ship and then they're like, oh yeah, we developed the fuck out of warp, so like your entire mission was kind of rendered pointless while you were
I
asleep.
know. We can
Yeah,
now
I
do what
remember-
you did in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I was reading or hearing on the radio, I might have talked about this before, but there's like this idea in futurology, I guess, or whatever, that if you don't have the technology to get someplace within 50 years, it's not worth doing it because the chances are that better technology will be invented within those 50 years. Means that,
So let's not
That-
go to Mars.
well, no, because you can get to Mars in like, 6 months or something.
Is it that
But-
fast now?
Well, I don't
Oh,
know.
I see what you're talking about now. I get it.
I'm saying like if you can't like if the travel time to like say Alpha Centauri,
Ah.
right now it's like thousands of years or something, right? I don't even know how many years it is at our current level of technology, but it's well over a human's lifetime. So yeah, if you can get that down to like 50 years somehow through technology or whatever, then yeah, it's worth going. But until then, just
bother.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, technology, a bit of a segue. I don't know exactly when this takes place in the Star Trek timeline, but they've got quantum slipstream working.
Yeah, I think they've kind of established it because I think it's it might be right here on the Prodigy page that I have up. Oh God, I can't find it quickly. I think it's a certain number of years after Voyager has gotten home.
Yeah.
It seems like somewhere between Voyager and Picard.
Yeah, it's definitely pre-Picard, but it's I'm just a little vague on exact. Like, I don't know if it's, say, been as long in the real world as it has been since the end of Voyager, or if it's less time than that. But yeah, they got quantum slipstream working. And
5 years after Voyager's return to Earth.
That's
Spoiler:
okay.
Voyager's going to return to Earth. Oh God, I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
no.
ruined Voyager for everyone.
So it hasn't been that long from, it's I think of the, wow. So yeah, they got that working. The protostar itself is some kind of crazy new warp.
And beautiful, fucking beautiful.
The Kazon have apparently become just fucking human traffickers.
But we
Yeah.
also see them just around other places too. We see them
Yeah.
popping up here and there.
Yeah. And yeah, I gotta say, of all the new sort of Trek series, some of the best ship porn.
Tell us more.
Well, I
do
mean,
I dare?
Well, just insofar that like there's just a lot of good looks at ships.
Yeah, like I think the Protostar in particular. Go back and check out our blogtivity when we discussed ship design. I think when we got to the Protostar, we basically all just said, "Oh, that's a pretty ship."
It is, but yeah,
it's so shiny.
Like Discovery gave us that whole fleet in its premiere, but you don't get a great look at most of it.
That's
which
true.
Is too bad. Discovery doesn't give you a good look at ships that often, which is a shame because if you look at like models and pictures and stuff, there's some really interesting and good designs there that they don't let you take a look at. And this one, I mean, it's not bringing a ton of new ships to the table, but its fleet at the end puts, oh god, spoilers for Picard Season 1. Jesus Christ. But
the cut and paste fleet.
That piece of shit fleet, which is just the same ship 1,000 times. And yeah, like, again, were there a lot of different models in the fleet at the end of Season 1 of Prodigy? No, but there was still more variety. You got a great look at some of them. They brought back the fucking Centaur class, which in the real world was a goddamn Excelsior kit bash. I was like, are you kidding me? You know, you've got Sovereign classes everywhere. You've got some Akira, maybe a Steam Runner, couldn't tell. You know, like all the tried and true models, and then the fucking Centaur. I do not know who on the production team was like, and there were like 7 of them or something. Whoever's like, let's have a shitload of those is my goddamn hero.
I don't know. If there's no Freedom class, I'm out.
And the Defiant.
Oh, wow. Did it actually... Wait, I missed that it was the actual Defiant.
Yeah, there's one moment where you can pause and get a look at her hull. It's the Defiant.
Who would be flying that?
We asked ourselves the same thing.
I'm going to say Nog.
Yeah, I'll take that.
What did you say?
I don't know. I don't think Nog would be a captain by
Well, but he could still be on it.
He could be on it, yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking about that. We're like, well, now that we know it's only 5 years after the end of Voyager, so it's not that long after the end of DS9 either. Like, as far as we know, the only major characters that were definitely still on the station at the end were Julian and Dax, as far as Starfleet personnel go.
Right.
I can't imagine for this very Starfleet-specific mission they'd necessarily have Kira along for the ride.
Well, I mean, there's tons of precedent for ships to get new crews over time. So, like, you know, it happened. The Enterprise, the original Enterprise, obviously had multiple captains and crews, and the Excelsior had multiple captains and crews.
Yeah, but we're just, you know, spitballing if it was still based off of DS9.
It's actually Morn.
I was going to say, let's bring back Argyle.
You don't get a look at it, but apparently I did see an article where one of the animators did say that one of the many Sovereign classes we see is the Enterprise.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And you actually see the Sovereign. The only Sovereign class they really get a close look at is the USS Sovereign.
Oh, nice. That's another good-looking ship.
Rather, like the Excelsior, has been updated from an NX registry to an NCC registry.
Wait, but who would be flying the Enterprise at that point?
No fucking clue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, because what does Picard doesn't retire at the end of Nemesis, does he? Or
no.
So he could still be Picard.
It could still be Picard. Riker
actually,
and Troy.
it probably is, because we don't necessarily know where this is in relation to Nemesis. Because Nemesis happens after Voyager returns to Earth because it has Admiral Janeway in it.
True.
They are right.
So this could be before or contemporaneously with Nemesis, for all we know.
That's true. That's true. And it's also definitely, that's not only is it before Picard, but it's far enough before Picard that Romulus still exists.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could very well be Picard. Again, Riker and Troy.
And there's synths.
Yeah. If it's post-Nemesis, Riker and Troy are off on the
Titan.
Thank you, the Titan. Geordi could still be the chief engineer.
Yeah. I would guess it's probably post-Nemesis.
Probably.
But probably only a couple of years.
Actually, it must be, because there's new uniforms.
Well, there's new uniforms with every series, sometimes even overlapping with other series.
Yes, this is true.
True.
Like, it's always jarring to me in Lower Decks, and here we are in Lower Decks Corner, as we often end up in. when they have their own uniforms, and then they'll be visited by someone from Deep Space Nine or someone from TNG or someone else Tom Paris walks in, and he's in the other uniform, and I just makes me think about why are there multiple overlapping uniforms between different ships and different places?
But that is actually, weirdly, that could happen in real life. When militaries roll out new uniforms, they don't do it across the board.
Well, apparently they don't do it they don't make it required for everyone anyway.
Well, yeah. I also wonder, because I'm thinking, and I'm probably thinking too much about it, but
no,
that even in the real life military, different types of ships with different purposes may have different uniforms. Thinking of like a submarine crew might wear different uniforms than a battleship crew, and
yeah, well, I think that sort of the idea had originally been like, oh, the DS9 uniform is different because they're a station. But then at some point they said, fuck it, that's just the new uniform.
Yeah. Well, and then so I'm thinking, because like it's just fairly well established in Lower Decks that the California class ship, which is the kind that they're on, is like a very specific duty ship. Like they do the second contact.
Yeah,
which is
I did keep an eye out.
Silly, but
Again, it's not exhaustive, but I didn't see any California class in the last fight, but there could have been. I thought it would
trust me, you don't want them in a fight, seeing how they get their asses handed to them pretty readily.
Well, Jesus Christ, that fleet. So let's go through it. You just barely recover from the Battle of Wolf 359 and the Dominion War happens. You just barely recover from the Dominion War and this happens.
Right.
It's like, no wonder by the time Picard rolls around, they've just made 1,000 of the same ship and are like, leave us alone for a while.
We can't even use our synths anymore. Sad face.
Yeah. But the characters, we haven't talked about them too much yet.
They're all fairly interesting in different ways, too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Rock is the best one.
Love her. Love her so much.
Yeah, I think probably she's my favorite. Zero is a close second.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool that they brought back a Medusan. And like I said, like they brought it back. They brought the Medusans back in a way that also it makes full sense for their race. You don't have to have seen Is There in Truth No Beauty, because not a lot even gets established aside from the you can't look at them or you go nuts.
Yeah.
But Zero is so interesting, even though we don't know how old they are particularly, sure. But they have that sense of curiosity, and they want to solve puzzles all the fucking time, which is just endearing. And they're just so kind.
And one last tangent, this is actually what made me think about the whole ship thing to begin with.
Oh, good, the ship thing. We're back to this.
The Medusan ship is the same design they made for the remastered version of TOS.
Yeah, so they're keeping consistent.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing a Medusan ship in TOS.
Again, it's only in the remastered version.
Oh,
It's apparently, really brief.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, Zero's great. Del grows on you.
He does. I know people say he's the most annoying character at the beginning, and that's with purpose.
That's the point.
So that is so that you can see the difference by the end of the show.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're sitting there, you're like, all right, as long as this kid grows, I'm okay with this. And he does. Like, if he had just been that throughout, this show would have been trash.
Yeah.
He would have ruined it. But he got an arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his character's backstory, it gives you some feels. Because I remember when we discussed, is it in Dr. Bashir, I presume? Why the fuck do you blame the augment for what their parents, or in this case, faceless scientists?
That's the one thing I could have done without. It's like, God, is it like a law that every new Trek has to somehow connect to the Soong family?
Yep, it definitely is.
It's just, I mean, I bet, I don't know what devil Brent Spiner made a deal with, but
put me on the phone with this person.
How has he managed to get himself into every single Trek?
Yeah.
Has he made it? He hasn't made it into Discovery or Strange New Worlds yet. But yeah.
Oh boy.
And although I don't think he ever appeared in an episode of Deep Space Nine,
Deep Space Nine visited him.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine
so
visited
there's still a kind of a connection.
Deep Space Nine visited him.
There's that episode where Bashir is on board testing some equipment, but it's an episode of TNG.
It's Birthright.
Right.
It's in Birthright.
Right. Yeah.
And then Jankum, who I feel is sort of a mixed reception from all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he grew on me more, or maybe he just became less obnoxious over time, but I don't know. Yeah, the character's not my favorite.
I think when you see his backstory and you kind of get it, you get that he has gone through an interesting and unique kind of trauma.
Yeah.
That he makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, he always refers himself in the third person because he has gone insane.
Yeah.
Because of an evil robot.
That robot was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I liked Jankum a little bit more after that backstory episode, but then the last 3 episodes, he was so dialed up to 11 that I was like, all right, Jankum, Jesus Christ.
But, yeah, I think,
He is always at maximum Derek.
Yeah, he's the
Maximum Derek?
You haven't seen Good Place.
Yeah.
No, not yet. I'm sorry. It's on the very, very long list.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Maximum Jankum.
And Murf.
Yeah, Murf, who like I'm not sure I like bipedal Murf as much as I liked Slug Murf.
You know who Todd I can't tell how sentient or sapient Murf is because Jesus Christ. But you know who he reminds me of as a toddler-sized thing is, I don't know if you guys have this reference, young Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows.
Still have only seen the movie, I'm afraid.
The show is so good.
I know.
I've only seen the film.
The show's fantastic.
I'll never ruin anything except
that soon.
I mean, you just got to watch it for Matt Berry.
I love Matt Berry.
I love Matt Berry. I read a rumor that made me very, very sad the other day that Tom Bombadil might be appearing in season 2 of Rings of Power.
Oh, no.
And the only actors I would accept...
Oh my god, Matt Berry would be fucking amazing as Tom Bombadil.
Him and Brian Blessed are the only actors I will accept as Tom Bombadil.
Well, I'm afraid you're probably not going to get your wish, but Matt Berry would be perfect.
He would.
God, even I would want to watch that, and I hate Tom Bombadil.
Or at least just his scenes.
Tom Bombadil, that's where I got to in the first fucking Lord of the Rings book, and I went, you know what? I'm fucking done. I've seen the movies, I'm all set.
Yeah, I'm glad Peter Jackson cut him. But that's what we're here for. What we're here for is Murf.
Trying to figure out just what the hell Murf is, because they try to get Murf into Starfleet, even though...
No.
I think he's
in Starfleet.
Well, he's in the warrant officer training
program.
Whatever they...
Janeway's underling.
That caught me off guard. I was like, wait. Murf was trying to get into the academy too?
I think he's a toddler. I don't think he has passed any levels of development yet.
Maybe he's like that. Maybe he actually has, and he's just like that guy that couldn't speak English or the translator couldn't keep up with from Think Tank. Maybe Murf is just so far advanced.
I'm going to doubt it.
But no, Murf, here's the thing. Murf just went through like a larval phase, so Murf probably is quite young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah,
there was some baby.
There's some pupating going on.
Is he going to do it again and become a butterfly? A beautiful butterfly?
Yeah, I bet you in season 2, maybe he'll have another stage.
I give it bipedal Murf's design grew on me. I still want to know them. I still want to know how that Deedly Bob floats, though.
Magnets.
How
do they work?
Yeah. But yeah, that was probably the biggest surprise of the finale. It's like, whoa, Murf is trying. What? Hold on.
That's what I said. I think I said the exact same thing when we were watching. I'm like,
Yeah, they found. 5 of you are going. I'm like, yeah, all of them, and then Murf was their pet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Murf.
Oh, actually, I have a note about Murf. Let me find it. Find it. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, it says here, he's fucking adorable.
Oh, that is what I wrote. No, I also wrote, so the writers originally added him as a joke when Dahl finds a semi-sentient blob joins the crew. And it was supposed to just be a one-time, like, oh, that's kind of funny because it's Blob. But they loved the idea of having what they called a dog-type character that the kids would enjoy, that they just decided to develop him. And that's wild.
Well, it's a great show, but being as it's a kid's show, there's certain trade-offs, and I think those trade-offs are you have Jankum, who I compare mostly to like a Jar Jar Binks character.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know.
That's a bit of a low blow.
That's
for
really
Jacob.
rough. Even
I'm sorry,
Jacob
but like,
doesn't deserve that.
that's kind of. I mean, he's mostly there for goofy jokes.
But
he's slightly more useful than.
I was like, he is at least a competent engineer.
Yes,
Very.
exactly. He's like if Jar Jar was less Jar Jar, but same ballpark. And then
Competent
Murf,
Jar Jar.
and then like Murf, who again would have worked as a dog, as a semi-sentient dog that can help out around the house, but now will just be like in Starfleet for some reason.
Well,
But again, that's
although,
like kid show stuff.
once Murph, went to their next stage, apparently he did develop an interest in lip syncing.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny.
I got to admit, there was a part of me that kind of wanted Vic to be there.
No!
Mm.
That's the thing, though. I don't think Prodigy needs gags like that. I don't think it needs
No,
references like Lower
it
Decks
doesn't.
lives on references. And every time there was a reference in Prodigy, I was like, oh, but our kid's gonna get that. Like when that girl who frees Janeway from the brig says like, I was one of those people from that episode that we watched recently and I've forgotten the name of.
Yeah.
Remember me? It's like, just
that
have her
one-
just have her have ethics and free you.
That was an interesting thing. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's. I mean, maybe especially because we happened to just watch that episode. It was like, oh wow, look at that. Whereas if I hadn't seen it in years, I'd have been like, what episode was it?
Yes, fair.
It just seems like sort of randomly thrown in there,
A little, but again, maybe it's an attempt to really. It's like, all right, now we've got the children. Let's really get them. Now they're gonna have to watch that episode of Voyager.
Yeah, I would say the one like canon tie-in that I was thinking about this, that I'd be like, this would be both good for the show and good for the characters, and I would also like to see it from a fan service perspective. They got to get Bashir in season 2 as like a mentor figure for Dahl as a fellow augment.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cute.
That could be a good way to do it, especially if they do it in such a way that like he can just show up and be like, so yeah, I'm an augment too, and that's all the kids need.
No, let's not do that. Let's bring those fucking nut jobs from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, God,
Let's
are we
get
gonna have a
Patrick
sing-along?
And Jack and Susan, whatever the fuck her name was, and whatever the whore's name was. Just bring them all.
At least, if they have to do that, can CG Admiral Patrick wear better clothes?
No
more bitch
they're gonna
tits
make
for
him look
Admiral
like
Patrick.
a goof.
He's gonna look lumpier than Murph.
No.
And he's gonna have all those great cartoon titty physics.
I
Just
did
kidding,
say,
it's the wrong kind of cartoon.
yeah, I did say, or will have said. Wait, no, this is going up before Think Tank.
Are you getting a
Oh.
vision from the future? Chris is suddenly clairvoyant.
Yeah. Oh God. In a future episode we've already recorded, we discuss, maybe they could run into the Think Tank, especially since they've already got Jason
Alexander.
Alexander on payroll as the as Janeway's doctor.
Oh, the
But,
Tellarite guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. That was Jason Alexander?
That's Jason Alexander. Yeah, he's the Tellarite
Doesn't
doctor.
sound anything like Jason Alexander. I have to pay more attention.
But
Apparently
it
he's a good
sounds-
voice actor, so because you can't tell.
I had no idea.
We can discuss this more towards the end, maybe, but it sounds like maybe the direction they're going with season 2 might not allow that. But yes, Bashir as like an augment role model could be good. Other existing sort of connections. I love that Akona showed up and was just a schmuck.
Yeah. I kind of wish they used him more, but also I bet you if they did, they probably wouldn't have landed as interestingly.
Like I was seriously expecting like a last minute popping up redemption moment for him, and no, none of that.
Nope.
That's like no,
He's a loser.
and that's
He's always
great.
been a loser. He'll always be a loser.
That was
With ponytail and everything.
that was
Han YOLO.
that was something that was exclusively for the adults, and you know what? I'm okay with it because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And it's nice that the Rocketeer's getting a paycheck, even if it's just a little guest star one, because that was actually him, right?
Yeah, that
I
was
think
Billy
so,
Campbell.
yeah.
Good. Oh God, you know what I almost completely forgot? Just talking about characters' backgrounds, and of course, before he was slave laborer, Dahl was like some random Ferengi woman's
Oh, yeah.
indentured servant.
Yeah, I found that character really interesting. I can't remember the name now, but the Ferengi captain, female,
Mm-hmm.
With clothes.
with clothes.
Oh, it's a
so-
kid's show.
Well, obviously, yes,
But also, this is a post Grand Nagus
And movie.
Rom world.
yeah. But she wears clothes, she captains a ship, she knows the rules of acquisition and quotes them, which is all good stuff.
Daimon Nandi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a daimon. I wouldn't have expected a female to have been able to achieve that. So, despite the fact that she's, duplicitous and clearly not a great person, good for her.
Yeah.
We don't think she secretly has an extra pair of lobes under her bed for when she has to pretend to be a dude for the other dudes.
Right.
Maybe she
TBD.
used to.
She's actually Pell.
No!
No, Pell would never be a piece of shit.
No,
Never mind, I
Pell's a
didn't
good
mean it.
girl.
Sorry, Pell, I didn't mean it.
Okay, here's a question then. What did you guys think of Rock's tragic backstory?
Oh, as the sideshow.
As the monster.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
so sad.
I expected it to be way sadder and that she actually got that night guy killed.
That's what I expected was going to happen, too.
Would it have been better? Because it's still pretty sad, but I feel like the way that she felt like so regretful of it, I thought it needed to be worse.
I kind of wonder if that was maybe the original idea, but they were like,
Kids show, kids show, kids
too
show.
far. Let's scale it back.
Does Disney own Nickelodeon?
No.
Then that's the only reason we didn't get a dead parent in that case.
By the end,
did.
Gwen's father is dead.
Well, I meant in Rock's case.
Well,
Okay,
Gwen's...
But also
Sort
what a
of
piece
father.
of shit that guy is, so...
Well, we haven't really talked about Gwen, have we?
Gwen and Adams, the Von
What are they
Nicot.
Nah, thank you.
Well, I had it written down because I also kept forgetting.
Yeah, no, I
But
think
yeah.
you did. But...
It's so fascinating that they clearly thought ahead for this show. And they had the whole storyline ready. They had the compelling villain who has, like, a reason why he does the things he does, which is what you want in a villain.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And it's a really it's something we've not seen before in Star Trek, where it was like, the Federation shows up and says, "Sup, fuckers?" But instead of people just being like, "Yes," or it being complicated like on Bajor, but it actually... Like, we saw Civil War almost break out on Bajor a couple times, but here it actually did, and it destroyed them. Because Starfleet showed up, waved their dick at them, and then said, "All right, see ya!"
Yeah.
It's like, maybe check in on them on occasion, you fuckers.
Yeah, and
don't worry, they will, like in a Wrath of Khan amount of time.
and the time travel revenge plot is very Star Trek.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Add time travel, and you've got Ames all the way.
That's the one thing at the end that it's, kind of a bit cross-eyed, because how does Gwen still exist?
Well, it sounds like everybody still exists. There's like some kind of... I wasn't quite following it because it was too complicated, but somehow the protostar, when it detonated, opened up a wormhole to the future.
But an alternate future.
An alternate future where there's a different protostar that's with Chakotay and presumably Hollow Janeway and presumably the Diviner and other people.
Yeah, there's some shenanigans that next season is going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Because, Chakotay was thrown into the future to begin with, but then the protostar got thrown back into the past. It's kind of like, it's like charting Back to the Future where at some point there's like 3 DeLoreans in 1955.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, that's the thing that might slightly, it sounds like for season 2 we might be going to this alternate future, maybe. So it's a little vague what's going to be happening there, or what their ship's even going to be.
Well, yeah, because they have a new protostar class that they're building, but Janeway's like, no. So I wonder if they're gonna put them on a familiar ship like the Voyager or something like that to go.
Maybe.
on their mission.
Discovery has already established there will be more Voyagers. Maybe we're getting Voyager A.
Or maybe it's just the original Voyager. We don't know. Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
He's like, oh, we pulled it out of mothballs.
Or maybe a new improved Dauntless class.
Yeah, so that was an interesting addition to the show, is the Dauntless class, which you'll recall was the fake alien ship that
Ray Wise.
Ray Wise tricked Voyager into taking. So yeah, evidently, whatever the problem with quantum slipstream is, that ship design apparently
is best for it.
Is best for it, and Yeah, and even down to like the details, like the bridge.
Yeah.
It was the same bridge.
Didn't have to be.
It didn't have to be. It could have been a more Starfleet bridge, but nope. They just went with the one from Voyager.
Voyager was Janeway was like, I brought back these schematics. I like them. Just make them 1-1.
Yeah.
Except for the more the nacelles are more protostar style.
But it does. So okay. So the protostar itself, though, it's a really high powered, ultra fast warp drive.
Mm-hmm.
But we have quantum slipstream.
Mm-hmm.
Why bother with? Because the other thing about the protostar is it might be amazing, but similar to the those. Oh, this won't have released yet either. But I was going to reference the thing
Typical us.
the gas that the
the
Malon. But like the thing is, the consequence of a protostar warp core breach is large swaths of space are disrupted and destroyed. Whereas like a normal ship, if the warp core breaches, the ship's destroyed, all hands are lost. But outside of that, everything's fine. Whereas the protostar, it's like, no, we're gonna like take out a star system if this thing goes.
I feel like this drive was designed by a Romulan defector.
Right?
Because the Romulans run their ships off of tiny black holes.
Yeah,
and this guy's
nutbags.
like, let's run a ship off of a tiny star, which is absolute.
A protostar.
Yeah. Does that mean it doesn't need dilithium?
I mean, they're not running off of the star all the time.
No, that's true.
No, they have a conventional warp drive, it sounds
which
like.
must be using matter, antimatter, blah, blah, blah.
But
blah.
this drive produces a lot more power, I guess.
Something.
But it seems like it's still just warp.
Maybe it's akin to the enhanced warp drive we saw in Course Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but but those people don't exist.
No, but it could be something, because they never got into it. It was just a quote-unquote enhanced warp drive. So maybe it's like that. It's better warp somehow without being quantum slipstream or transwarp or
But if you have quantum
mushroom.
slipstream, that seems good enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe it's faster if they can get it to work right.
Yeah, maybe there's certain places where quantum slipstream isn't very good.
Maybe
it's less damaging than standard warp. Like maybe they won't do as much damage to the surrounding space if they're using slipstream as opposed to regular old warp.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's something they'll address at some point.
Yeah.
It's also Starfleet. Maybe they just did it for fucking shits.
Yeah, look, we
Because
found a
it's
new
there.
thing. What was wrong with the old thing? Nothing.
Yeah.
But it's new. She's got a new hat.
But yeah, so sorry, we ended up tangenting again and not getting as much into Gwyn and the Diviner and all that as we wanted. Yeah, she's a fun character. Like, it was obvious she'd eventually, join up with them properly, but they took a little longer than I thought they would, which I appreciated.
Them being the rest of the kids, not being the rest of the Von Akot.
Yeah. She wasn't immediately just like, never mind. I'm with you guys. Like, she had to kind of go through some stuff.
Yeah. I like when she stood up for the cute little baby-cation. I assume it's a cation. Actually, no, they're in the Delta Quadrant, so they could be anything. I'm going to say it's a cation, but just
I'm saying there's plenty of, Medusans and Tellarites are Alpha Quadrant too, so.
Well, the Tellarites had been on that sleeper ship for who knows how long.
True. But still.
There's a cat person.
Needed more cat. Loved that cat.
I was surprised they spent a lot of time in the first couple episodes with the cat, and then we never saw the cat again.
Yeah.
We saw a different cat. We saw a blue cat later.
Yeah.
Place needs more cats.
And we should have friggin' linguist there, too.
Oh, yeah. And it comes up several times that it's useful for her to be a linguist.
That's actually, I thought that was super clever, too, just being like, making sure the prisoners can't talk to each other. It's like that.
Right?
Yeah, why not? Shit.
Yeah, that way they can't rise up. They can't, ally together because they can't converse with each other.
Yeah.
I did love, because I went and rewatched the whole thing this past week, because of course I did. In one of the early episodes when actually it's at the half-season finale, however you want to call that.
Yeah.
When they go back to, did I write it down somewhere?
Oh, the planet there. Yeah.
Tars Lamora.
There we go.
And there's those two guys and two random prisoners. And once they're able to start communicating again, they're not even paying attention to what Dahl is trying to make them do because they're like, oh, I could never talk to you before and now I can. It's been so long I've been trying to talk to you. And they're just the cutest.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I believe at the time I was like, well, they're going to start dating.
Yay! I ship them hard.
Yep.
Well, the other thing I want to bring up, so we have hologram Janeway.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The other major
character. With some pretty good work from Kate Mulgrew. Every so often I'm like, she's in a room recording into a microphone. But most of the time, especially when she and Dahl swap bodies.
She does a good job.
That was like the best Mulgrew action I've ever fucking heard. It was so funny.
Really fun.
I said to Caitlin, I would give real money for them to get live action Mulgrew to do finger guns.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So it's like it's not just a hologram avatar that looks like
No.
Janeway. It's actually like Janeway's brain. It's like they downloaded her brain.
Yeah, but she also knows she's a hologram. She's kind of like if Vic knew who he was based on.
Yeah.
And had that person's personality and willingness to help people and stuff like that.
And penchant for self-destructing starships.
Oh, she loved it. It was her favorite fucking thing.
See, that's the one thing. That's where I called bullshit. It's like when Dal was like, we're going to blow up the ship, she gasped. I'm like, kidding? She should have been like, there's nothing else I can possibly teach you. You figured it out.
You've graduated from Janeway U.
That was the one.
But then she was briefly shocked, but then she's like, oh, wait a minute. I get to blow up the ship.
Yeah, finally. Although, really, that's the thing. That was the one thing. They reprogrammed the hologram to not be quite so blow up the ship happy.
Yes.
Or at least to be less gleeful about it.
Early versions of the Janeway hologram just kept blowing shit up, and they're like, all right, this is the one thing that can't be accurate. Hold on.
Yeah, and that scene, maybe it's not the scene in which she goes and blows up, although I did like go fast. I thought that was a good catchphrase. Of the captain catchphrases, go fast is fine by me.
Yeah.
But watching the crew reacting to the fact that she sends them a recorded message and they break to pieces, like I started tearing up both times I watched this thing.
It was a well done scene.
They did a great job.
It was very upsetting.
Though I do want to know how the hell they survived a month in that thing. Don't think it had a replicator.
I feel like the final episode, I won't say I was disappointed, but I felt like it's implied that it's the part 2, right? So there was it's a part 2.
Supernova part 1 and part 2.
And I felt like the supernova stuff was resolved within the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of the episode was like the aftermath.
It's like how they kill the dragon at the top of the Hobbit 3. It's like
oh god. Yeah,
see, but honestly, like I'm okay with that because I it was nice to have an aftermath.
I felt less like aftermath and more like denouement.
Yeah, and also setting up. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I could have used less of it overall. I think more in the battle. I don't know. I just felt like the episode it was interesting, but the majority of the episode should have been less of that.
It's like it should have just been feature length. I'm going to say feature length, even though I'm not sure that's the right word for it, because wasn't the premiere double length?
I don't remember.
It might have been, but I think a double length would have worked.
If it had just been one episode instead of part 1 and part 2 with a week between, it would have felt like a complete episode. It would just be longer than the other ones. Yeah,
I guess it's just where the split between the episodes is kind of odd because there's like a cliffhanger, and then they resolve the cliffhanger immediately. It's like if in Best of Both Worlds Part 2, Riker says fire. And it works.
Yeah.
And they destroy the Borg ship.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episode is everybody talking about
cleaning
how Picard's dead.
I wonder how much of the structure is a result of the fact that even though it's premiering here, it will eventually air on terrestrial network with you know. Still, I think though, one of the better put together two-parters in Trek.
Yeah,
certainly one of the best first seasons we've ever seen of Trek.
Oh, yeah,
I would go so far as to say that like possibly the best first season overall, because also it's 20 episodes, which we just don't have 20 episode seasons.
Yeah,
anymore.
like I would compare. I would try to compare it to Strange New Worlds, but there's not really comparing things to any of the new Treks because they're shorter and they have such a different tone, a different way that they're structured. Most of them are serial. This one's serial too, so it has that in common with the rest of the currently running Treks.
I would say there was, like I said, I think the opening wasn't my favorite just because it just didn't quite pick up its Trek legs yet. And then there's one episode in particular in my memory that I was just like, ugh. We want to talk about that episode.
Oh, is it Kobayashi?
the holodeck Kobayashi Maru episode.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into specific episodes because, one day we're actually going to cover these individually. But yeah, that was the one that I thought was the weakest of the bunch. But the rest, there were a lot of in the bunch that I really, really liked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think the one with the, again, it was kind of a reference-y episode, but it worked, was the Enterprisians.
Oh, yeah. All the World's a Stage.
Oh, my God.
Fucking brilliant.
Which I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah, and Time Amok, I'll also say. Just
really
flat
clever.
out good Trek. Not even good Trek for a kid's show, or good Trek for today. Good Trek.
Yeah, really good use of, weird time shit.
Yeah, and original, too. We've never seen that before.
Yeah. The Enterprisian thing there, what was great about that was I remember seeing them in, coming in second half of season 1, and you could see them real quick in the trailer. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna go to a planet that got gangster planeted, but with Starfleet. But holy fuck, I wasn't expecting the Shatner impression.
Oh my God, it was so good.
My favorite line, though, in that whole episode was when the Sulu guy, when he walks onto the bridge of the Protostar, goes, my.
I missed that.
Yep, he said, my.
Amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. That was astounding. That was fucking poor doomed ensign. What's his name?
Oh, Gaverick.
There we go.
Yeah. Was he an actual character
in
TOS?
He was?
So apparently he was, because I was like, did they actually resurrect an actual guy? Because I looked up, and Gaverick is the guy from Obsession, who the Cloud took a little bite of.
Holy shit!
Whose father, I guess, beforehand had been killed by one of those clouds. And then Kirk's like, your father, huh? Well, you'll come down and take revenge with me, Kirk. Look at my pecs.
Wow, shit. What a deep cut.
And they didn't have to slap you in the face with it either.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like you guys who didn't remember who he was, and it's still a great episode.
Yeah, 100%. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was too busy going, it's the Galileo 7, the most cursed fucking shuttle they own.
Oh no. Yeah, I also thought the holodeck malfunction episode toward the end was pretty clever. With they have to find the skeleton key, and then it turns out it's like an onion, and there's just layers to this thing. It's also very clever.
Yeah. A really good way to do a holodeck malfunction, which again are also kind of easy to fuck up.
Yeah, like we've seen tons of holodeck malfunctions. We're going to see more. I know you're all surprised. We'll discuss them when we get back to Voyager at some point. But yeah, this one was just a new kind of malfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd also say, one of the things, every so often, the animation was usually very good, especially with settings and aliens. And the only time I got a little taken out and it felt janky was a couple of the cutscenes between, people talking. Felt like they were from a video game.
Yeah. I don't know what animation technology they're using, but it had kind of a video gamey feel.
Not actual
to it.
Gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like a cutscene from I can't even think of a game, Fortnite or something.
Yes, Fortnite, infamous for its cutscenes.
Well, I don't know, man.
They have done a lot of
I'm just being a dink.
But they have done a lot of cinematic trailers in engine to announce, new seasons and such. So.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Clearly.
But yeah, I suppose it's kind of they can get away with it with the leads more because since they're aliens, those little things we subconsciously pick up on as not being quite right aren't there to worry about.
But also, since they're kids, now kid characters, and most of these characters, they have different proportions. Like,
Yeah.
they have much bigger eyes, especially Gwen. Gwen's eyes are huge. You
Yeah.
can be way more expressive with big features.
True. And
So I
that's
think
why-
that makes it a little easier than when, say, Jellicoe, who it's always great to see Jellicoe.
fucking Jellicoe.
But whenever he delivered lines, it's like I could tell that the shape of him is not like the kind of thing that works for this animation style. Or like
Yeah.
the flashbacks and seeing Chakotay, and it's like, great, Robert Beltran, yay, good for him.
Oh yeah, they didn't do a good job with him, I feel. Doesn't look anything
Yeah,
like
it's a
him in
little
my
weird.
opinion.
And yet Janeway looks great.
Yes, she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, they took time to get Janeway right.
that was
And maybe
was
they'll take more time for Chakotay when he's not just a flashback.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope so.
that was, a big turning point for me because they were, fine after so much radio silence on Prodigy that I was thinking maybe, fingers crossed, they've just decided not to bother. And then they were like, hey, remember that kid show you were afraid of? Oh, fuck yes. And they're like, here's some stuff. I'm like, great, whatever. And they're like, and oh, by the way, here's Kate Mulgrew as a hologram of Janeway. Sorry, what? And that's when I was kind of like, all right, you've kind of got my attention now.
Emergency Mulgrew hologram.
Yeah.
Image.
Yes.
I need one of
Which-
those.
Which, a little more human interface friendly. I can pretend to drink coffee.
Yes.
That was very
It
good.
It does have the stomach for it.
Does
Yeah,
anyone need more memes of Janeway drinking coffee? We have some for you.
So many.
Yo, dog, I heard you liked Janeway drinking coffee memes.
Oh, I do. And when Doll, as Janeway, drinks the coffee, how does she drink this stuff? Very funny. Very, very funny.
Oh, God. The thing that was deeply creepy in that episode was Janeway not knowing how to keep his head tail from wiggling around.
Mm.
I was like, oh, God, I know it's prehensile, but she's moving it so much.
Is it prehensile?
Oh, yeah.
Has he
It
done
looked like
things
it.
with it?
No,
Does he grip stuff with it?
no, I don't think it's strong enough to really do anything with, but that's like one of the first signs it's not him in there is like, it just she even kind of...
I believe prehensile prehensile just means like controllable, doesn't it?
That was what I thought.
Oh, I thought
But-
prehensile meant you could manipulate things with it.
Wait a minute. Let's
I don't
find.
know.
Let's
Let's
ask
find
the
out.
internet.
Do
It's
it.
movable either
Because
way.
I think there's a different, like a cat's tail they can move about, but I wouldn't call it prehensile.
Oh, prehensile actually means capable of grasping.
Okay,
Aha!
so it's not prehensile, it is movable,
Yay!
and she doesn't know how to keep it from wiggling. At one point, she even smacks it out of her face. Face. Ugh. That's the one thing, that weird little rat tail thing feels very 90s.
Oh, look, okay, I can see that.
Everybody
he's
knew somebody with a
purple.
rat tail in the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah.
He's also purple, which is just like, he's a Lisa Frank binder. The last thing I found in my notes that I thought was a great touch. So you know how normally, supposedly, all of Star Trek usually has like a science consultant for any of their more science-y science?
Mm-hmm.
So the astrophysicist, Erin McDonald, was the science consultant for this show, but they mainly had her make sure that they were advocating for STEM education for kids. So she had to
nice.
make sure she was looking at it from the point of view of, will kids understand this? Does it make sense, scientifically, obviously? And also, like, is this the kind of stuff that makes kids interested in science? And watching Rock go through all the sciences. Wait, there's more than one science? Of course, here's all the sciences. And look how much you love science. It's like, good. Keep it up, Erin McDonald.
I love the line, there's more than one science, just because... I can't have talked about this on the podcast, but one thing I've certainly said before is, like, it's amazing how much in pop culture, if a character is a scientist, they
right.
know all science. And I feel like a lot of perception of certain public figures, not naming names, Elon Musk, comes from the fact that people think, oh yes, scientists know science. It's like, no, the motherfucker knows coding and that's it.
Now, a mad scientist, on the other hand, they just know all science.
Yes. So it was nice to see this sort of especially, again, even in Star Trek, like, Spock is the chief science officer, which, like, yeah, sure, you have someone that all the science departments reports to in a bureaucratic sense. But we actually don't know what Spock's area of expertise is. It's never stated.
I always assumed it was astrophysics, but I don't know if there's a reason why I think that.
No, it's they never really, he was just the chief scientist, which again, makes sense. You have someone all the scientists report to. They should also be a scientist of some kind, but we never actually know his Of course, he's also a Vulcan. They actually do just all know all science is the fucking problem.
I was going to say.
But that's good.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good aspect of it.
There's a joke at the Vulcan Science Academy. You ask a student what their major is, they say, yes.
That's good.
Like
That's
that.
good.
Trying to think if there's anything else I kind of had floating in my noodle.
Yeah, I think the last thing in my list of various entirely random notes, they have a vehicle replicator, which explains a lot of Voyager.
Retroactively made that make sense.
Yep.
Yep.
We've always had them. Wink, wink.
We have an answer. They call it standard.
Oh, the language.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I noticed early in I made a note and then I crossed it out when I realized, oh, this gets answered. Why? Like, what language does Dahl speak that no one else in the Delta Quadrant except Gwen now can speak? Because there are puns that he says, or puns that come out of his lines that only work in English, like the sun thing from fucking Bread and Circuses. But whenever he and Gwen are talking about how they're in cat boots, which was funny once, and then stupid, and then stupid, and then stupid, and then cute. Yes. Damn it.
Yeah, fuckers.
And I thought, oh, well, it's because he's actually speaking standard, which is Janeway's language.
Yeah.
Which is presumably English.
Yes.
Yeah. And just bringing back that thing from fucking season 2 of Discovery, where apparently crews are all speaking whatever.
Yeah, because they got the translators.
Yeah.
Oh, another cool little tidbit I wanted to mention. Vindication for Ames. Because she got some...
What did I do?
Well, so when you did your Prime Directive blog post, some of the comments were uninformed people saying, well, the Prime Directive only applies to pre-warp civilizations.
Good impression, Jake.
Yes, that's exactly what they sounded like. And we now have an on-screen Prime Directive. They show it in the episode, and it talks about there's 2 sections. The first section...
You gotta find the screen grab now and share it. Dang it.
Well, yeah. The first
Which episode was it from?
Talks about pre-warp, civilizations that have not achieved a requisite level of technology. Section 2 deals with everybody else. It applies to both.
Yep. You can't just put right over their culture with your culture. That's how Prime Directive works.
Yes.
Eddington would take some, what's the word?
Umbrage?
Umbrage with that. As far as he's concerned, they do overwrite cultures all the damn time.
Yes.
And you gotta kind of question, is he entirely wrong?
Mm.
It's like, once you join the Federation, well, the Prime Directive doesn't apply to you anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the one thing, and I wouldn't have expected this show to really deal with it, obviously, that there is a lot of Starfleet filleting in this show.
That's true.
Where like Starfleet is really held up as like the ideal, which again is kind of classic Star Trek because that's what they did on, TOS and TNG largely. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see, these kids that are really just swallowing the propaganda that the Janeway hologram is giving them about how wonderful Starfleet is. But I do wonder if we will see any of the other side of that at all.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't expect
wait for
it
season
in a kid
2.
show. So yeah,
season 2, like it's opening up that some of these characters are going to be in trainings for things, and they're going to get to witness it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they have that Jellicoe is a character makes me think that maybe we are going to see some other sides of things.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jake. Jellicoe is the best.
No, he's great. He's great, but he's a hard ass. He's definitely a hard ass. So we'll see. And he's Janeway's boss, apparently.
That was a good get.
Yeah, good for Ronnie Cox.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He actually apparently said in an interview he feels that of course Jellicoe was the finest captain the Enterprise has ever had.
Perfect. He's
got to be in his 80s. He's got to be
that's an
up
excellent
there by
question.
now.
Yeah, because I mean he was middle-aged in RoboCop.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's always looked that age.
Ronnie, oh my, he's 84.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, he still looks good.
Sounds good. Some people, get a little older and their voice kind of goes to shit, but he sounds exactly the same.
Speaking of sounding exactly the same, we're going to be back next week.
Close Angelico.
Thank you for taking this break to watch Prodigy with us. Go back and rewatch it. It's pretty quick because they're all short episodes. And wait for season 2 with us. We'll keep you apprised. No,
are we definitely getting a season 2?
We better be.
I just wanted to make sure. Well, then that means the kids somebody's definitely watching it. I don't feel like they'd order more if, you know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, I don't know. I gotta rewatch season 1 of Strange New Worlds and decide which is my favorite Paramount Plus Trek. It's one of those two.
For me, it's definitely Prodigy.
Yeah,
Strange
I think
New
it's for me.
Worlds
It's
was
Prodigy
fine,
too.
but it had some flaws.
You know what it is? It's the same thing when we talked about season 1 or our series wrap of TOS and how much we liked For the World is Hollow and I've Touched the Sky because it came out of fucking nowhere and we never expected this episode. Like, I did not expect to like Prodigy, and that makes me like it more because it surprised me.
No, that's fair.
I expected Strange New Worlds would be good, and it's good. So it's basically at the bar I was expecting it to be at.
Sure.
Whilst this one leapt over it and then did several flips.
Yep. Which unfortunately for it means it's now going to have very high expectations for its second season.
Exactly, yeah.
So
what is Jake doing?
Fuck up.
What?
Jake's just making faces into the Zoom.
Jake is channeling Jacob.
Ah.
That's right.
Anyway, continuing to wrap this whole thing up. As we alluded to, we're going to be having more Voyager on the wing, so make sure you join us for that next week. What are the episodes next week? Since we're recording this out of order, if it wasn't obvious. Next week, the episodes are going to be The Fight and Think Tank, so listen to our opinions on that. Little birdies from the past, because this has already happened, tell me we're going to have a guest star, so that's exciting.
Yay.
What else? The end.
We
never introduced ourselves at the top of this thing, so y'all have been confused in assuming this was Jake, but this is actually Ames.
This is Caitlin.
Oh, this is Jake. Wait.
and this is always Murf. I mean Chris.
That's my Murf.
Very nice.
This is a good Murph.